the Forbes Books podcast, where we bring you inspiring conversations with the best leaders in business, entrepreneurs, and CEOs who are making a positive impact in their industries. Hola, I'm Joe Pardavila, and today I'm joined by Yusuf Amdani, a visionary entrepreneur and philanthropist who is revealing how business leaders can create positive change and prosperity in some of the most vulnerable regions of the world in his new book, World of Opportunity. Yusuf is the founder and CEO of GK, a diversified group of companies that operates in various sectors such as textiles, energy, real estate, and hospitality. He's also the driving force behind the GK Foundation, a nonprofit organization that focuses on health, education, and the environment in Honduras, Mexico, and beyond. In this episode, Yusuf shares his inspiring story of how he started his business journey in Pakistan and expanded it to Honduras, where he saw an opportunity to invest in sustainable businesses that can boost economic growth, protect the environment, and foster social responsibility. Yusuf, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's good to be with you.
All right, so Yusuf, you have a lot going on in your life. You've got a book, a podcast, all these businesses scattered all over the world. But I want to go back and set the stage as to how we got here. I'd love to know your journey from being a young man from Pakistan, going to school in the States, and then having this idea to build businesses in Latin America. So how did you make the jump from Pakistan to the United States to then starting and building businesses that have changed people's lives in Latin America?
As you mentioned, and I went to school in California, and while I was in the school, I was already doing some textile business out of bringing products from Pakistan. Then 1989, 90, as you know, U.S. hit with the economic depression, and retailers and the brands started to ask for products much quicker than we could make and ship it out of Pakistan. So I had friends who were doing some production already in Mexico as well as in Central America. So I went and visited in 1990 Guatemala, Salvador, Costa Rica, and Honduras. Guatemala at that time had a lot of red tape, did not have a clear laws for foreign companies to come and establish. Salvador was still coming out of the war. Costa Rica being the highest education level and a smaller number of people, they were already advanced in education and all that. So it was not really fit for long-term textile industry. And then when I actually got to Honduras, they had just few months before that, they had passed the new free zone law, which allowed foreign companies to come establish within a free zone. That means you don't have to deal with the local legalities and local government, or you have your own customs and you can establish very easily. Plus, San Pedro Sula or Honduras has the largest port close to the U.S., very direct flight from any of the Miami or New Orleans or Atlanta. It's only 2 hours. So that was an easy decision to make because through the free zone law, it was easy to establish. So that's how I got and opened our first textile operation in Honduras in 1990.
Wow. So now let's hop in the time machine, 1990 to 2023. Talk about the ripple effects of you building that plant there and what that city and what that area and the lives look like today.
When I arrived there, it was a small town for less than 400,000 people, and I would say maybe 60% unemployment or underemployment. I was one of the very first textile company to establish in Honduras, and then other companies from Korea. A couple of years later, U.S. companies started to come. Then the industry started to grow vertically in the next 5 to 8 years. We went from close to 5,000 employees in the industry to over 100,000 employees. And then, came in the same in the textile, came in the verticalization. We opened up our textile plant. Then we opened up our spinning facility. Other companies did the same. Then, we developed our industrial development where we brought in the largest wire harness cluster. So we have a cable manufacturer, we have companies like Lear and Aptiv making wire harnesses, and other companies providing other supporting accessories for completion of the wire harnesses. In 2007, we established the first smart city. Through that, we have brought in top of the five U.S. BPOs into Honduras, and today, between our two smart cities, we have over 14,000 people work in the tech industry, and it is growing very fast. Over the 30 years, we have created more than 30,000 direct jobs. So it has not only changed the lives of those 30,000 people, but their families, their communities, and the city and the state, because they were able to count on a solid income on a regular basis. They were a recipient of the healthcare services. They can today, maybe over 70% of them own homes. Most of them being able to educate their children, send them to school, send them to colleges. And the needs always were not only in Honduras, in entire Central America, Latin America, and most of the fragile economies or underdeveloped countries, huge. But we definitely made huge impact. According to the last statistics, these 30,000 people having the jobs, that has mitigated over 200,000 people from migrating to the U.S. Then through the technology, we are now going into higher tech boot camps. And with that, in the next 5 years, Honduras will have a strong middle class, which is important for development of any country.
Would you mind sharing some anecdotal impact on what you've seen in your 30 years of building these companies and organizations in areas that are below the poverty line? Like, how much of a life changer has it been putting one of your plants in one of these, underdeveloped countries? Like, what have you seen on the ground in terms of how it's changed people's lives?
I mean, I like just give you an example of our plant. We opened up 24 years in the city of Campeche in southern Mexico. The state was last in everything, in employment, in development, in internal depth, to the point that even the Mexican people who live in the northern part of the country knew that Campeche is one of the state of the Mexico, but they didn't know where it's located or what's there. When we were building our plant, we will have our technical team come from Honduras, and they would say, Yusuf, I don't know if these people are going to come to work, because most of the people live fishing. And they will go fishing early in the morning. They come back, and then they had this cultural custom to sleep, between 2 to 6 p.m. They, eat lunch, and then they
Siesta.
take a siesta.
Yeah, yeah.
And, so my people would comment, they tell me, Yusuf, the irony is that these people come back at 6 o'clock, and then same day they have another set of clothes. So, I mean, it's going to be very hard. How they're going to come work from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. or whatever the shift is. They have never seen anything because they have not had an opportunity.
Right.
Nobody brought in opportunity for them. 11 people the first day, about 8 or 9 of them still work in the factory. Last year, one of them left after 20 plus years, and she came to see me. And we were talking. So she said, look, I worked all these years because through my job I was able to educate 3 of my kids.
Wow.
One works in the pharmacy. He's a pharmacist. One is my daughter is a nurse. She works in a social security hospital. She's a full-time nurse. Other daughter, I think she was a teacher in a primary school. And she said that, since many years, I did not needed to work anymore because they are doing well. They can, support me. But coming to work every day at Kareem's textile and apparel become my lifeline, because if I do not wake up early in the morning and I come to work and I see my friends and I see my colleagues, and I work, and then I go home, and my day is not complete. So I just, because this job has given me so much,
Uh,
that I was able to educate my kids. I send them to the university, and today they all are professional. They have a good life. They have, I mean, they have a future ahead. Since I live in the city where most of our projects are, or surrounding, and you see how communities have been changing. Like, for example, in Green Valley, our industrial development, we adopted the first school, I don't know, 18 years ago. And when we adopted the first public school, they only had three broken classrooms, three teachers from the government, and 64 students.
wow.
2 years after we adopted, they had full five classrooms, five teachers. All the utilities, uniforms, everything is sponsored by people who work at Green Valley Industrial Development. And we created a parents supervision committee, so which makes sure that the teacher come and they're providing all the curriculum complete, and so on and so forth. So then the school had, since then, more than 560 students.
Wow. And what's interesting about what you do too is you find these places, which is to me remarkable. Like you mentioned Campeche, who's a city that's been in Mexico for, I don't know, something like 400 years, and people in Mexico didn't even know it was in Mexico. How do you find these places?
1995, when NAFTA came in, we still had parity in Central America. That means that we could bring fabric cut in the US and bring it to any Central American countries only to assemble. And when we bring it back to the US, we have to pay duty on the value added, means whatever we invested in the sewing and packaging and all that. So 1995, when NAFTA came, that had a better free trade agreement. That means that allowed that you can bring fabric from US, or you can buy fabric from Mexico, and you can cut and sew and pack and ship it duty free to the US. So one of the products we used to make for one of our children's wear company customer, which paid about 30% duty. So in value, it like made difference about 30 to 40 cents a garment. So my customer started telling me that, Yusuf, you got to go to Mexico and open up a plant there, because we cannot afford making this product anymore in Central America. So we went to Monterrey and Puebla and Mexico City, and those cities were growing so fast. There were so many other industries that I didn't feel like textile would be a good, textile usually is the first industry gets into some place, and then gets into verticalization, and then other industries come, and then textile usually moves out. So I said to him that northern Mexico wasn't really place where we would like to set something up long term. So they continued looking, and then suddenly they found something in Merida in Yucatan, city which is about an hour and 20 minutes away from here. They came to Merida, and as soon as they came to Merida, they called me and they said, Yusuf, Merida is the perfect city for you. It's very much like San Pedro. It's a quiet city. There's not too many companies, and it's perfect. So a month later, I came to do a due diligence, and then at that time we realized that a lot of smaller companies, especially the companies which were only doing sewing, moving from Florida and Mississippi, from Carolinas to Merida. And I had that experience in San Pedro Sula, that we were the very first one, when then Korean companies and then US companies, they all start to come. We had a vertical growth, and then everybody has to try to get other people's trained employees, and the prices went up, and so many issues. So I thought, well, Merida is going to be similar. So since we were there for 1 week to do our due diligence and really set something up, I asked my team that let's look at the map. So we looked at, left is Quintana Roo, Cancun. Nobody is going to come to Cancun to work in a apparel company, and the further state was Campeche. So we said, let's take a ride to Campeche. So we drove one day, and today there is a beautiful boardwalk in front of the ocean. At that time, it was just a simple road. Water was running up to the road,
Hmm.
and just entering the Campeche kind of gave me sense of amazing serenity and quietness. And so I said, well, this is beautiful to have a manufacturing facilities in front of the ocean, and so let's consider this. So that's how we ended up coming to Campeche.
Wow, what a great story. I feel like, you're obviously a good business person, but boy, you really trust your gut. Because a couple of these cities you're talking about, it sounded like you were getting initial pushback from people. How do you balance that? It's sort of like on the tip of the knife. Like, how do you balance gut and data?
I mean, Joe, it's all the gut. Since there was no industry in state of Campeche except the oil industry, which is in the island, we didn't have any data to compare, right? You don't know. I mean, if people are going to be good with their hands, are they going to be able to work? Are they going to be even adhere to the normal working hours? Are they going to be, open to, learning new, skill sets? Um, but what I saw was that the people had absolutely no opportunity, except that people who had a job was working for the state government, and other than that there was no retailer, there was no car dealers, and none of them was here because there was people were not able to afford to pay, right? Even the when we started, some people in Merida would say, why are you going to that village? Because they don't have anything. I mean, they whatever they need, the people who can afford, they come to Merida, but they don't have anything in Campeche. So it was more of a challenge. I just said that again, there's more uh, need here than there's any part of Mexico. So once we start opening up a plant, Walmart came, Home Depot came, a mall came, a hospital came, car dealers came. So at that point was really, I mean, gut, as well as saying that we can take that risk and change, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people's life. The risk is worth it.
And speaking on your own and on a personal note, you're from Pakistan. You go to the States for school. You build businesses in Honduras and Mexico. What kind of perspective does being this world traveler give you? Because, like we joked, you're finding cities on the map that people don't even know exist. Well, how has that changed you as a human being?
One incident that in 2009, we were constructing at that time the first tower in Altia Smart City in Honduras. And then that on June 29th, we had basically a coup or a political debacle. And then 3 days later, when I was sitting with all my people, they were saying that completely, I mean, I'm talking about completely like COVID, completely country was paralyzed. There was, because, Honduras was cut off from diplomatic relations from 89 countries, including the US, Mexico, and many others. And nobody was doing anything, so my people said that we are about 64% done on our construction on the first tower, and what should we do? So because nobody is working and nobody's doing anything, everybody's trying to uh, put their assets in the guarantee the bank, take a cash and keep cash, because nobody knows what's actually going to happen. So I told my people, I said, look, few percentage of the people, including myself, we have an opportunity that maybe God given us, that we can really move and go to live in the US, Europe, or Asia, or wherever we want. But 98% people are born here, they're going to be grown here, they're working here, they're going to live here, they marry here, they're going to die here. They don't have any choice to be able to take a bag and move out. So if we're gonna not do anything and move out, then somebody has to do something for these people. So regardless of what happens politically, these people have to work. They have to go to work. They have to find a job. They have to do day-to-day things. So we're gonna go ahead and continue the construction regardless of what happens. And we were the only company in the country that during those 6 months we were still building our tower, and we did not stop for the more than the first 4 days.
Wow. What a great story. And you lay out a lot of your story and what you've accomplished during the last 30 years in your new book, World of Opportunity. Yusuf, as we sign off here, what do you hope people will take from that book?
Few things. One is that if you have any capacity, any resources, if you want to do something for the people which has the least amount of opportunity, then you can look at these, beyond your comfort zone, into any country which is underdeveloped and which has a high unemployment and has least amount of infrastructure, and has a very fragile economy. It does not matter the size, does not matter the amount. You can learn from our experience that you can do it and you can be successful. You can still have your success based on economic, but also you can make impact on many lives in any of these places in the world. And Joe, something else which we are going to be doing through my website is that not only that you can listen to the podcast or you can read the book and then inspired by it, but we're going to have a permanent online help available to anybody around the world. If it is just a doctor who wants to go and do any medical brigade, but doesn't know how to get to one of these countries, what type of things he can do, and local support and logistics and all that, we'll provide him that. If somebody who's working on environment and wants to go and do work at the in any of this country, will provide them the local support, help, technical help, financial help, whatever they need. And the businesses who wants to consult just to see if what plans they have, where they should go, what they need to do, and any hand holding in any of the countries we operate, we will provide that at no cost, regardless if they are businesses related to what industries we work with or anything they wish to do. So you will have an access to our experience and our resources at all time, so that anything you want to do as a person, as a company, as a small, as a big, or whatever, you can make use of our resources and our experience.
That's awesome. His name is Yusuf Amdani. Yusuf, really looking forward to the book, the podcast, all the stuff that you have going on in 2023. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe.
You're so welcome, Yusuf. And that is it for this episode of the Forbes Books podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you take a quick second to subscribe so you automatically get new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left us a review so more amazing entrepreneurs like yourself can discover the show. And please don't forget the golden rule and treat others as you want to be treated. Thanks for listening. Until next time, adios.